Good morning, Multicultural Art class. I'm so happy to see you once again online. So today we're traveling to a new country. So I'm probably gonna find a way to make some sort of crazy thing happen on the screen with some fun editing tools so it will look like we're going to a new country. So we'll pretend we're in the airplane. So I hope you packed your bags because we are going to Russia. Now, before we do this project, it's really important for you to pause the video, and if you haven't yet, I'd like you to watch the Littlest Matryoshka. It's a story on YouTube about what we are going to be making today. And also, if your parents haven't already, please print out a couple different things. So hold one moment. You will need two of these big shapes, page one, and then one printout of the smaller shapes. Okay, that's for our Matryoshka dolls. And then you'll also need your handout for Russia. And those will all be found in the material section of Google Classroom. Oh, we have a visitor. Hello, Coda. Hi, Coda. Okay, for this project, we will need the printouts I just talked about. We will need some sort of Sharpie type marker to do kind of the outlines. Probably a pencil as well, just in case you want to do it in pencil first and then, so you can erase if you want to change something. And then something to color it. So you get to decide if you want to use markers, colored pencils, crayons, whatever art materials you have available to you at your house. So the first step, well, actually, rewind for a minute. Let's go over our Russia handout together, since we usually do that together. I don't have my globe with me to find Russia on the globe, but maybe you and your parent could either look on a map of the world online, or if you have a globe at home, you can find Russia before we start our project. So once you've found Russia, come back here. You can pause the video, find Russia, come back, and then we will go over our Russia handout. And I'm going to close my window because there's a lot of noise coming from the window, so pause this. So I'm assuming you have found Russia on the globe, and you've probably noticed that it's quite large. So let's read. You can follow along while I read. I know we usually take turns reading, but that's kind of not possible on a video that's pre-recorded. So maybe next week we'll try to do a Zoom conference with everybody. So I'm going to read aloud, and you can follow along on your Russia handout. Russia. Half of Russia is in Europe and half is in Asia. Russia is by far the largest country in the world. Climate. Because Russia is so large, the climate varies greatly. There are deserts, frozen coasts, marshes, and plains. Plants and animals. Russia is home to many rare animals such as polar bears, snow leopards, and something that isn't on the list, but it is best known for the Siberian tiger. Side note, this is kind of a funny little anecdote, but my husband Brandon, he said, so he's an air traffic controller. That means he works at the Minneapolis Tower, and he tells the airplanes when they can land and when they can take off and everything. And he said that if he didn't do that for his job, his second choice for a career was to be a Siberian tiger trainer. I don't know. I think he chose the right career because I don't think I don't know how much money you can make at in Siberian tiger training, but just a funny little thing. All right, sports. Russians enjoy playing soccer and hockey. Individual Olympic sports are also very important, especially gymnastics, skiing, and skating. Culture. Chess is an important part of Russian culture. I actually didn't know that. Children begin learning in kindergarten and begin competing by age 10. Do you guys know how to play chess? I kind of do, but I'm not very good at it. Russians love ballet and are known for its elaborate choreography and stages. I'm sure you've heard of the Nutcracker. I believe that came from Russia, the Nutcracker ballet. Arts and crafts. Russia is famous for its nesting dolls, which are painted wooden figures that fit inside one another. And that is what we are going to make today. So I've always wanted to go to Russia. I've never been. Part of the reason I wanted to go, though, is because my ancestors came from an area, it's now part of the Ukraine, but at the time it was Russia. However, they weren't Russian, they were actually German. So my grandparents were both Germans from Russia, is what they call it, because they were Mennonites who left their homeland and traveled to Russia to live, because Catherine the Great, the leader of Russia at the time, told them that they could have all this farmland in exchange for, because they were really good farmers and they needed help with that in Russia. And they also said that they would be exempt from the draft. And a draft is when a country requires people to go to war when they are at war and become soldiers. And my ancestors were Mennonites who didn't believe in violence, and so they were pacifists, meaning they did not want to go to war. So that's why they left originally. They left Germany to go to Russia to avoid being in the wars, and that's why they actually had to leave Russia and come to America, because they were trying to avoid the draft. So after Catherine the Great, she exempted them from being in the battles. But then, she died and whoever else took over. I don't know my Russian history well enough to know who took over leading the country after her. But then he said, yeah, I'm not following that rule. You guys have to fight in my wars too. So it changed a little bit, and then they immigrated again to America where they had more freedom. So I thought that was kind of interesting when I learned about my family history, that they are technically from Russia, but they aren't Russian. They're Germans from Russia. So a lot of things, like we have special meals that my grandma would make, and we called them German Russian food. So little tidbit there for you about my history. And I'm wondering if you guys can have your own parents comment, or you can even have them videotape you, but if any of you have ever been to Russia, or if you have ancestors that were from Russia, I would love to hear about it on our Google Classroom. Alright, so now we are going to make our Matryoshka dolls. Now you should have already watched the story of the littlest Matryoshka, and so you know what a Matryoshka doll is. And you know that they are very lovingly made by Russian people and hand painted. So we are going to hand draw ours. So you should have these pieces of paper. You'll have 2 of these, 1 of these. You will also need a glue stick. I think I already said that. So sorry if I'm repeating myself. You'll need stuff to color and draw with as well. So I wanted to show you what the final product is going to look like. This is the big Matryoshka who carries all the little ones inside of her. And so we are going to make a pocket here on the back that she can carry all her little Matryoshkas inside. And I have created 3 of them, and I gave you the outlines to do that too. But feel free to add more if you would like. So if you want to make them even smaller, like I think there were 6 in our story, and I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So if you want to make some that are even smaller and go inside, you can make some more with some extra paper. So these ones I have decorated but not colored yet. but I wanted to show you the first steps in designing your Matryoshka. So I'm going to flip the camera around so you can see my page like this. I am ready to start designing my Matryoshka doll. So I'm going to start with my pencil just in case I make a mistake that I'd like to erase. And I'm going to start by creating a circle up here for her head. Now, most of the dolls are women, but you can make boys too. In fact, if you would like, you could make really any type of character. I've even seen some online that are superhero characters. So feel free to get creative about this. I'm going to show you a more traditional one, but I really encourage you to try something new from your imagination. All right, so I've got my circle for the head, and then I'm going to come down here and make kind of a circle on her belly as well. And I am going to come back, since I like my circles, I'm going to trace them with my Sharpie to make them stand out a little better. Now here's where you get to be really creative. You can design the face however you'd like, and you can design the outfit however you'd like. If you looked at the ones in our story, the more traditional ones usually have some sort of head scarf. So this shape is the head scarf, and it's tied at her chin. And then right here is kind of like her dress showing. This is like her coat or her shawl, and then her dress is showing underneath. And that usually has some sort of flower pattern on it. You can decide if you want to do some other pattern, but I really want to see some sort of pattern happen. Don't do all one solid color. I want you to design it. Think of yourself as a fashion designer. You are a Russian fashion designer today. I'm going to go right ahead and use my Sharpie, but again, if you want, you can keep using your pencil just so that you can erase if you want. But I'm going to make my face up here. So usually their eyes are quite large. So I'm making kind of a almond shaped eyes, and I'm putting some eyebrows on top of them. And I didn't leave a lot of room here, but I'm going to have her hair coming out so we can see a little bit of her hair peeking out through her scarf. These are little curls. Then I'm making two little lines that are curved here, and those are going to show her nose. So not a lot of her nose is showing. You can do a different type of nose if you want, but when I was doing my research on these Matryoshka dolls, I noticed that a lot of their noses were designed like that, so I'm going to do it like that. And then their mouth is just a tiny little smile, and then you can add some lips. I use kind of an M shape on the top and a U shape on the bottom. And I'm gonna make her smile come out a little bit farther. There. All right, now she needs some irises in her eyeballs. So I'm gonna put those on there, and I'm going to put her pupils in there. Her eyes are wide, and I'm going to add a little bit of eyelashes coming out. Now I have most of the face decorations that I want to use my marker for done, and I'm going to come back and do some coloring. But before I do that, I'm going to design her flower pattern on her dress. I'm coming back in with a thinner Sharpie because I like to do details. So I think I'm going to do, I did a more traditional flower thing on here. I think this time I'm going to do more of like a striped pattern, be a little bit different. So it's still going to have flowers on it, but it's going to start with some stripes. This is the part that I'm probably going to fast forward on the video, so you don't have to watch me make all my flowers. Now I'm going to create her little scarf. So I'm making a circle right at the center of the big circle for her head, and then I'm going to make two little teardrop kind of leaf shapes. Those are the ties coming down. And then this is the bottom of her scarf draping down over her shoulders. And if you want, you can add a little flair, a little pizzazz. I'm going to add that. And now you can think of some pattern that you would like to use on her scarf. I liked the one that I did on my other one where I made a flower up here at the top. And I think I'm going to have some little vine things coming off of it. Now, since I have my little Sharpie, I'm coming in and I'm going to add some detail lines for her hair and this flower. Okay, I think I'm going to add a curved line here. That's going to be like the end of her coat and the start of that. The bottom of her dress or pants or whatever. And then some of them have this, some of them don't, but I kind of like having a part that shows her hands. I'm not doing the details of the hands, just the thumb. It's almost like she's wearing mittens. It must be cold in Russia right now. All right, so you're going to do this same thing and then color it. Oops, I went through my paper. Good thing I had that there. All of your dolls. When you are done when you're done designing them, then you should color it and then you should cut it out. So you only decorate one of the large dolls because the other one is going to make the pocket in the back. So there's one cut out. Now this one does not have to have any design on it, it's just blank. going to flip this one over. And I'm going to cut it down about where the widest part is right here. Oh, can you see this wide part right here? I'm going to cut it right off right there. It's like where you would pop the lid off of your doll. Because the wood ones are hollow inside and you would lift off the top to get into the other ones. Ours are paper, and so we are going to be gluing just the edges of this one with our glue stick. Oops. So just one line of glue around all the edges except for the very top so that our other dolls will fit in there. And then turn that over. Somehow my top one is a little fatter than my bottom one. Hopefully you don't have that problem. I don't think you will, because this was the scanned one and this was not. So should be the same for you. So now see, I have a little pocket that I can put things in right here. Here's the front of the doll, here's the back of the doll. Now you can, after you're done with these, cut them out. After they're all colored and everything. I find it easier to color them before you cut them out, but that is up to you. And then you're going to place them in the back pocket where they can live safe and sound, letting the old grandmother Matryoshka doll hold them all safe and sound. So another word for these dolls besides Matryoshka dolls is also babushka dolls, because they are often, the main big doll is often designed to be an old grandmother, and that's what babushka means in Russian. And then she has the younger ladies inside like that. And then the very tiniest one is like the little baby. Oops. All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed our trip to Russia today and learning about the Matryoshka dolls. I will see you next week. We'll still be in Russia, so you'll have to stay tuned to find out what more we learn about the art of Russia. So I will see you online next week. До свидания.